Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to completely demystify the Guidewire ACE credential. Our goal? To give you a highly realistic, totally no-nonsense roadmap for 2026. Look, if you've been digging through endless blogs and getting nowhere trying to figure out how to navigate the certification, take a breath, because you're in the exact right place.
So let's kick things off with a critical question, one that trips up almost everyone when they first start looking into this. Let's say you've got the money, you've got the time, and you've got all the study materials ready to go. Do you think you can just hop online right now and sign up for the Guidewire ACE exam?
You literally can't. Yep, I know, it's a harsh reality check, but a necessary one. You absolutely cannot just register for this exam on your own, no matter how much you prep or how much cash you're willing to drop. I really want to establish this right out of the gate so you don't waste your time on generic study plans that totally ignore the actual rules of entry.
Okay, let's dive into exactly how this works. Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover what Certified ACE actually is. Then, we'll look at that strict access gate, the 3 certification tracks available right now, a realistic preparation path based on where you are in your career, and finally, we'll answer the big one. Is it actually worth it? All right, Section 1. What is Certified ACE? Let's break down the illusion versus the reality. If you take away only one foundational fact today, please let it be this. ACE is not an acronym. It literally doesn't stand for anything. Guidewire writes it as Certified ACE with a capital A and a lowercase ce. It's just a card game metaphor for being at the top of the deck. Now, why does this matter to you? Well, because a massive amount of third-party training material writes it in all caps, like ACE. If you see a blog treating it like an acronym, that is a huge red flag. It tells you right away the author hasn't read Guidewire's primary documentation. And just so to know, this explainer is strictly sourced from those official docs. To understand where ACE actually sits in the ecosystem today, we need to talk about the modern 2-tier system. That legacy 4-tier ladder you might have heard about online, associate to specialist to professional to ACE, yeah, that's completely dead. Today, you start at Certified Associate, where you implement and support products while actively working under someone's guidance. The Certified ACE level sits right above that. Achieving ACE proves you can design, you can lead, you know the best practices, and crucially, you're the one providing guidance to the rest of your team. Let's move to Section 2, the strict access gate. This is the non-negotiable prerequisite. So remember how I said you couldn't just sign up? Guidewire doesn't have a public service desk for exam registration. Enrollment is strictly gated through a training coordinator who works inside the Guidewire ecosystem. That means you have to be at an insurer, a partner, or a system integrator. If you're a fresher, a student, or an IT worker completely outside the ecosystem right now, the answer is a hard no. There is no direct route. Plus, ACE isn't even a standalone exam. You have to already hold the relevant Certified Associate credential before you can attempt it. You got to get in, certify as an associate, work on real projects, and then your training coordinator can enroll you for ACE. Okay, Section 3, the 3 certification tracks. Let's look at the 2026 landscape. Now, what's really interesting here is how Guidewire defines expertise. The first track is Insurance Suite Developer. And notice it's broken down by specific product, Policy Center, Billing Center, or Claim Center. ACE demands profound depth in just one specific product. It's not about shallow breadth across all 3. You need to know how that exact core system functions inside and out. Next step is Cloud Integration. This covers external system integrations and REST API work. But catch this, you can only get this after securing your Insurance Suite Associate cert. And finally, there's Jutro Developer for front-end digital experiences. Guidewire currently lists this as coming soon, so keep an eye out because it's definitely the next frontier. I also want to firmly warn you away from some outdated study materials floating around out there. Listen carefully. There is absolutely no Guidewire Architect certification. Architect is a job title you grow into. It's not a test you take. ACE is the highest credential level, full stop. Also, the Data and Analytics certification, that's been completely retired. If a training provider is trying to sell you prep courses for these right now, hold on to your wallet and walk away. Moving right along to Section 4, the realistic preparation path. Let's talk about freshers versus pros. If you are a student or a fresher, I am speaking directly to you right now. Stop chasing this exam. You literally cannot take it yet. Instead, follow these steps to actually break into the industry. First, learn property and casualty insurance fundamentals. The policy lifecycle, claims, billing, understanding that business logic is completely free and it immediately sets you apart. Second, learn Java and learn it properly. Guidewire's language, Gosu, is deeply Java adjacent. Third, build a solid documented portfolio of your coding work and use that to get hired by an ecosystem employer. Only then will you unlock the path to associate and eventually ACE.
Now, what if you're already an experienced developer looking to transition in? Well, your path is much shorter. Your enterprise skills are going to transfer beautifully. Java and .NET devs can map their object-oriented skills straight over to Gosu. You really just need to focus on the syntactical differences. Backend and API devs, you'll find the cloud integration track incredibly familiar thanks to modern REST standards. Database pros, your SQL knowledge will fast-track your understanding of the complex Guidewire data model. And QA engineers, you actually have a specific place in the Insurance Suite configuration ACE track for test automation. But remember, no matter how much experience you've got, you still have to clear that access gate by joining a Guidewire partner. So once you're inside the ecosystem, how does this preparation actually build? Look, true prep for ACE is not about locking yourself in a room and cramming for a weekend. The timeline spans months. The first 30 days are purely foundational. Days 31 to 60 are for building product depth, which culminates in sitting for your associate exam. Days 61 to 90, that's when you dive into advanced concepts like integration patterns and cloud deployment. But the absolute key here is that ongoing phase. The ACE credential requires proficiency exercises that heavily assume you have been delivering real project work. You literally have to ship configuration, debug production issues, and actively argue your design decisions in code reviews.
And hey, you don't just get to rest on your laurels once you pass. Guidewire enforces a really strict M3 maintenance policy. You have to stay current with the new releases. For example, the August 2026 Quasar release introduced a major agentic framework for building AI agents directly into the workflow. These releases are moving incredibly fast, and the tech stack evolves constantly. If you fall more than 3 releases behind, you lose the credential, and you have to retake the proctored exams all over again. Getting certified here is really a subscription of effort, not just a one-time purchase.
All right, our final section, Section 5. Is it actually worth it? The value and the verdict. Let's talk about the financial return on investment, particularly looking at the landscape for professionals in India. If you look up salaries for Guidewire roles right now, you are going to see some wildly conflicting data. Glassdoor reports roughly an 8 lakh average based on model-estimated title-based data. Meanwhile, Six-Figure reports over a 20 lakh average. But that's based on a small pool of specific, highly skilled profiles. The thing is, neither is wrong. They're just measuring entirely different populations. The reality is that compensation spans a massive band. What actually drives you to the top of that band is specific experience, multi-application depth, and especially expertise in complex cloud integration.
So what's the bottom line? The verdict is pretty neutral. It is absolutely worth it, and honestly often a non-negotiable contractual requirement under Guidewire Cloud standards if you are inside the ecosystem, you already hold an associate cert, and you want to be a cloud lead. However, it is emphatically not worth your time to chase if you're outside the ecosystem with zero project history because you simply won't have the context to apply the knowledge anyway. The final truth is this: ACE validates design and leadership capability, but it's utterly useless if you can't troubleshoot a real production issue when the system goes down. Certification plus genuine project depth is the only real equation for success here.
We've covered the reality of the access gate, the tracks, and the rigorous preparation required. You now know exactly what it takes to reach the top of the deck. The next step is entirely up to you and where you currently stand in your career journey. So, are you ready to play your hand?